Not all exhaust systems are created equal. I had the incredible privilege of going out to magnaflow in Southern California to get a really good behind the scenes look of how magnaflow's entire industry works. Everything from their incredible office headquarters that uses exhaust tubing for their handrails on their stairs, to their shipping and even their manufacturing process. This is Richard. Richard has been with magnaflow a very long time and he knows all things exhaust. He was incredibly hospitable and walked me through the entire factory. magnaflow is legendary and I've been using them since the very beginning of my car journey. So how is magnaflow's legendary exhaust made? Let's go through their entire factory and find out. Hello and welcome to magnaflow. And this is Richard. Can you introduce yourself real quick?
I'm Richard. I've been here at magnaflow just going on 20 years in the capacity of working as currently kind of our spokesperson and in the marketing department. Started off with engineering, so I'm going to give David a tour of pretty much a ground up of everything we do in the exhaust world, starting with the engineering side, leading up to everything you guys see in products.
Basically, first things first, the office building. Super cool, super great facility. You guys have hopped a bunch of different facilities, but this one is like the crown jewel, I feel like, for sure.
We've always been in the industry of making exhaust parts that are for cool cars, and at the beginning it was just focused on making parts. Now we have something to present. We're affiliated with some of the coolest people in the industry, some of the greatest minds engineering products, and we wanted to put a showcase out to show what it is we do and let everybody see a little bit about our culture.
First things first, here's the Viper that tried to kill me. So this was a manual car. I raced against it, or I was supposed to race against it, and rode a couple nights before my car broke. But other than that, always love seeing this thing. It's an automatic now. You guys helped out with the exhaust on it.
Yes, we did.
Which was pretty phenomenal. So one of my favorite things about the office building of magnaflow is this. And can you please explain why?
Well, we wanted to make sure that this had little pieces of like all the Easter eggs of our culture. You know, this is stainless exhaust tubing that we use for the handrails, but don't forget we have CNC bending capabilities for hanger wires. So exhaust tubing, exhaust hangers, all the little elements that you would see in the exhaust system are kind of carried out through the theme inside the entire corporate office building.
Yeah, and it gave me PTSD of hangers, you know, trying to rip out of the rubber hanger and everything else. Because if you look at it very closely, you can really see it's exactly what he says. And I just imagine the little rubber grommet getting stuck right there.
Yeah, and speaking of rubber grommets, you can get a very bird's eye view and really kind of, I would almost say, the upside down view of what it means to get those rubber hangers.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that obviously makes sense. Also, this is one of Vaughn's old cars, correct?
Yeah, it was actually when we were working with Vaughn, he helped us get a body in white, and we wanted to really showcase what it's like to see the bottom of the car, because everything we do is jewelry on the bottom.
Right.
So we wanted to make something that was easy to show off.
Down. Super cool. Never really realized the stamp. That's really neat.
The hemisphere, or as it soon became known afterward as the Foose Coupe, this is a piece that I admire all the time. I mean, it's a mid-engine, Hemi-powered car that really became the Prowler that we all saw as a V6, slightly neutered front engine rear drive. This is an entire carbon fiber body, but knowing Chip, he doesn't use the carbon fiber as its primary, it's an accent. So this is actually the carbon under the paint.
Oh.
So this is an entire carbon body, and if you feel it, you can actually feel that the paint is on top of the carbon.
These goggles are not a fashion statement, so we're here in shipping and receiving at magnaflow, and it is overwhelming. I think the first time you walk in here, you knew that it was going to be a huge operation, right? I'm speechless over thinking about it because of how many platforms do you guys support?
Yeah, I mean, we're on SKU count wise, we're into 14,000, over 1,000 brands of cars and applications. So it's a lot of parts, and you can see what a lot of parts looks like here.
Pretty much the majority of your product is made right here.
Correct.
Which is really
you're
phenomenal.
See everything in this facility, like just under 300,000 square feet. You're going to see shipping and receiving, 2 million parts a year we ship out of here. All of the automation and robotics, the hand welding, everything happens under this roof we're looking at.
So
and
cool.
R&D is right next door.
That's so cool that you're not just like a drop shipper. Correct. You know, like we got it from somewhere, we're putting it in the boxes and we're shipping it away.
You're going to see raw material steel coming in one door.
I'm excited about that.
Finished goods right here.
All right, let's go see it.
We're going to have 7 semi-trucks here operating. and we can basically, you'll see a product being pulled. It'll sort through which shipper it's going through, which customer it's going through, UPS, FedEx, Conway, you name it. All of them could be here dropping a trailer off, and we can put every product double checked out to the right spot within minutes.
Not the conveyor belts, but the rollers and everything. It's such a cool operation.
I call it the log ride when you watch how stuff
like a log
through everything. And you can hear it fire up right now. There's just an whirring effect, and it's just traversing product from shelf. And you'll see the flapper doors directing stuff as it's coming down.
Oh, yeah, way up there. You can see it directing. That's so cool.
It's actually scanning and weighing the product. So if it sees a discrepancy of a certain amount of weight, it actually rejects it, puts it down a separate lane, and automatically starts repicking it. So we have another customer service check before it goes out to the customer to make sure everything's in the box.
Meanwhile, everybody in the car world's like, they bend some pipes and they put it in a box and then it shows up. I think most people associate magnaflow in the enthusiast world with enthusiasts.
Right.
But your history has a big part of catalytic converters.
Well, we help keep the performance in the car. If without the cap, we can't have the horsepower.
That's right, which is a big misconception.
Right.
It's like straight pipes are the best, and not really. What's really fascinating is you said this infrastructure of these cats has been around like 20 years.
Yeah.
And then the one over here is just mass production. You just spit them out.
We want to make sure we can make everything the most efficient way possible. So we do make our traditional cats in an assembly line that's a little bit more like you would assume. And we have some of the latest technology incorporating robots and spinning technology running side by side. Because there's no one right answer for all situations. But they weld this portion of it along the side. So all they do is they place it between, it comes between. It passes current, there's high resistance, and it melts it, and it creates the weld on the side. And the traditional weld, these are the ones that are around the inlets and outlets. This welder, as you can see, is something that is decades old in design, but still works for small production quantities. Here you'll see we pressurize every cat before it goes in the box to make sure there's no leaks. We're doing a lot of welding, we don't want pinholes. So 100% of the product goes through here and gets pressure checked before it goes out. You're gonna have a tube that turns into a finished good from beginning to end with one machine operation. We just walked through the other process. I've got to stamp and shear parts, I've got to put two half shells together, I've got to assemble the internals, and I've got to weld the extra parts. This, on the other hand, takes one part and turns it into a finished good. You're gonna have the robot, which is gonna take each one of these and stuff it into the tubing, and then it's gonna manipulate the tubing to actually form the edges through a spinning process to get the end shape we want. We could change that shape on one side or the other side, the length and depth. The important part, though, is there's no fixturing, so very little handling. We're watching raw materials come in one side, finished goods popping right out. And what it's going to determine is where it is, so when the robot comes to pick this up, it needs to be in exactly the right spot. It'll actually come down and move accordingly, and it knows each spot is slightly different.
Seeing robots work with their laser-guided precision is almost eerie of how efficient they are. But magnaflow uses a mix of different things. They use a balance between humans and robots to get the job done. And out comes a finished product.
These two parts is raw materials on one side to a finished part that comes out ready to put in a box and sell. Very little handling that has to be done in between. We do make our own perf, so the pattern that you see that we use to control the sound is actually going to be different based upon every vehicle.
Right.
This is not a standard pattern. We actually change that based upon the sound we want from the vehicle. Louder, quieter, low frequency, high frequency. Just because our muffler looks the same on the outside, the universal and the product we're putting in the car may actually be different. So the material we use here is called rock wool, and this is our primary noise dampening piece here. And unlike fiberglass, you notice I'm not worried about this. It's not going to be itchy. This is something that was built off of, it's lava rock. It's been put into a centrifuge. It's brought up to high temperatures, about 2,000 degrees, turned to liquid, and like cotton candy is spun out into a fiber. So here we have something that's very temperature resistant that is going to allow us to have a lifetime warranty and also create that nice deep sound you get from a magnaflow system.
So you're telling me that you're literally using lava to prevent heat?
Yes, lava rock.
magnaflow.
Got it. Robot will grab the muffler, and you can see there's 3 separate cells where it'll do the welding on the body to the cap as well as the inlet and outlet. And this process it goes through again is going to be a human being welding a muffler can take anywhere between 7 to 10 minutes.
Forever, yeah.
This is going to do 3 simultaneously in about 2.5.
That is making quick work of stainless, dude.
Yeah, we're basically going to take what is a 16 gauge material and we're going to push it down the same way you cut like tubing where you put pressure and you rotate it, except we're using a round surface to taper it down. and we're gonna get a nice even taper that's actually gonna get thicker. We've actually work hardened it and made a thicker material, and we've done so without having to put a cutting operation or a welding operation in.
All right, so I think what's really neat is seeing your guys' logo on just a piece of metal, you know, before it becomes what we all know and love.
Everything that we do starts as just metal, and then we form it and shape it into the finished product. So seeing this coil, this is 3,300 pounds of stainless in this coil.
Oh my God.
So there's a reason why this is the hard hat area, and you see a 5-ton crane above us to move this stuff around. My ASMR.
Yeah. The pipe bending process is nothing but infatuating. You can literally watch these robots work all day long and never get tired of it. Once they go through the process, bend the pipe, they drop it off, ready for the next step. So essentially after the whole process gets done, for the most part, you basically set it up for the welding. So basically it's just ready to go. You put it in there, it welds, and then it's pretty much done. Each of the subcomponents is ready to go, and then it's locked in place. If you notice all these clamps, because the robot welder will actually manipulate it upside down and sideways to get the best angle to weld. It's not like the old days when you store stuff that you have a spot where that one product goes. We've got so many products and they change out so many different time cycles. But as long as the computer knows and we tell it, hey, 59925 is here and 41 is right next to it, and it knows there's 6 here, 2 here. If the person picking it, who's GPS located in this building, is closer to this 59925 and further from the one at the end, it's gonna tell them to come pick it here. No way.
So it's minimizing the steps that the person's going, and it'll know where all the inventory's at in each location, and it's gonna make sure that the picker is only gonna pick from the spot that's the least amount of steps.
Okay, so now we're in the R&D bay with a bunch of really cool stuff. So we got the S650 Mustang, which I have been very privileged to drive the GT and the Dark Horse. But I think that is one of the main reasons they were kind enough to bring me out for this, is the comparison between these two, and also your development of the exhaust on the S650, which is really interesting because normally your brain would say, oh yeah, it's probably just S550 plus one.
Right.
There's a lot more to it because of the dual throttle bodies and everything else. So would you like to go through this?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the biggest things we wanted to do was, this is an absolute iteration of the 550, but we didn't want to take the easy path. Most of this pathway is pretty much the same. If you're familiar with both the engine platform and the chassis platform, you could stick the old parts on here, modify some tips, and just try to make it work. But we've changed the heart of the motor. The 5.0 is still there, but the twin throttle body, dual plenum front changes a natural characteristic of the exhaust note. And as a person who sat in this before, I know, David, you can attest to it, it's a different sounding animal.
It is.
And we definitely wanted to make sure that we could use what we've learned about the differences to really accentuate that. So it starts here. And what you're seeing with the stock exhaust is a fairly small diameter tubing that has a lot of crush points and a lot of chambers. The flow pathway on this is very different, and at the same time, you'll see that we're gonna do a lot of optimization, including going all the way up to a 3-inch tube. And that's probably one of the biggest things that we wanted to take and measure, was we wanted to make sure that the large diameter tubing was gonna increase power within the constraints of the factory tuning. And that's probably the one thing that I think is not looked at between these, is because they came up with the Dark Horse, we have an opportunity with a higher output version of the motor with a calibration that allows for that higher output on the GT. This is the performance model with the, a premium with the performance add-ons. We have some headroom, and we found some very interesting results when we went to the bigger tubing and got some really impressive numbers.
Touring magnaflow has been absolutely incredible. In the next video, I'm gonna be driving this X650 with their various different exhausts to show you the differences in all their sound tones and what it takes to really get different tones and sounds. Once again, huge thanks to magnaflow for bringing me out for this incredible factory tour. And once again, huge thanks to Richard for showing me around personally. So make sure to head over to magnaflow for your exhaust system down in the link in the description. Once again, I typically upload on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, and I will see you guys next time. Take it easy. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.